Hey there, Knicks fans. We are so excited to announce that Fanatics Fest is back in New York City this summer, taking over the Jacob Javits Center from Thursday, July 16th to Sunday, July 19th. You can meet your favorite athletes from every major league, including current Knicks like Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, and Karl-Anthony Towns, and the legend, my guy, Patrick Ewing. Catch live podcasts and panels featuring some of the biggest names in sports, while experiencing interactive activations from top leagues and brands. You could also grab exclusive merch and discover one-of-a-kind memorabilia from sports and entertainment, buy, sell, and trade collectibles with hundreds of top dealers, and best of all, connect with fans from around the world who share your passion for sports. Tickets are on sale now at fanaticsfest.com, and when you use that promo code KnicksFilm10 at checkout, you will get 10% off your purchase. How about that? It's an extra day of the world's #1 sports fan festival coming together under one roof, and you will not want to miss it. All righty. Welcome to a little bit of a late start edition of the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by Fanatics Sportsbook, where we are here to talk about not the most fun basketball game that we've ever watched. Final score, Lakers 110, Knicks 97. So before I talk about the game, just want to give a shout out to everybody who showed up today at Penn 6. We had a brunch watch party, brunching with Brunson. Unfortunately, he did not hold up his end of the bargain. It was more like I don't know, drunk late night at White Castle with Jalen Brunson. But the atmosphere was great. A lot of great Knicks fans turned out. Really fun. Shout out to Sean, Jeff, Jeremy, Sophie Dash, everybody who pulled the event together. It was really a great time. And I'm leading with the event, not only because I was there and had a good time myself, but also because it leads directly into how I want to frame this basketball game. Because there I was with, I don't know, 200 some odd other Knicks fans. Beautiful Sunday, coming off of arguably the most enjoyable win of the season. And like, if ever there was a room full of people that wanted to just pour out their love for a basketball team, it was this group of people. My guy Kevin was there as well. He's on the ones and twos tonight. He walked in, he had a big smile on his face. Like, we were all like really pumped up to root for the team and see them play well. And what ensued over the following 48 minutes was, I would say, the most painful basketball watching experience of the season for me as a Knicks fan. Now, I want to very quickly caveat this because I know what people are going to be thinking. Oh, Macri's going to lose his shit again. I'm not bothered by this loss at all. There were some things that left a little bit to be desired about the loss that we'll get into. Some specific players who are maybe going through it a little bit right now. And, you never like to lose basketball game when you're obviously still chasing Boston for number 2, when you're trying to stay ahead of Cleveland for number 4, when you're trying to continue to build momentum. Like, no loss is ever fun. Get that out of the way. This loss didn't bother me because for me, this was a loss that, for as much as we could get into some of the finer details of what went wrong and what they didn't do well and what they could have done better, like, at the end of the day, this was a 48-minute basketball game where they could not hit the broadside of a barn for pretty much the entirety of it. I actually am shocked that they shot 24% from 3 because it felt like they shot about 4% from 3, or maybe like 8 or 9% from three. It does not feel like a game in which they shot in the double digits from threes, which is to say they missed, it felt like watching in real time, they felt like they missed about 10 times more threes than they made. And that is what made the afternoon so painful, because the Lakers, for as much as they are not a great offensive team, they are a very dangerous offensive team. And that was the other part of what made it painful today, is like you had two guys in Luka Doncic and my God, I keep wanting to say Jake LaRivia, Austin Reeves, although Jake LaRivia looked pretty good too. And Austin Reeves, who were just making one impossible shot after another, despite the fact that the defense was really good. I thought on a lot of the possessions that those guys made these crazy shots. Of course, they got into the teeth of the defense on some other occasions. It was far from the best defensive performance we've seen from the Knicks, to be very clear. But like the caliber of defense that they played today, I don't think any of us should be ashamed or upset about it. Now, defensive rebounding is a part of defense. We will get to that, but just putting that aside, I thought the defense was good. And yet those guys hit some impossible shots, credit to them. But like, you're watching the game and you lose count of how many wide open threes. And we're talking like wide open threes that the Knicks just absolutely bricked. And you could go down the line. It really wasn't any one person's fault. OG was 1 for 4. Okay. Carl 1 for 5. Okay. Hart only took 1. I don't think it hit anything. Bridges, we'll get into Mikal Bridges, 0 for 4. Brunson was the one guy who kind of did okay, 3 for 8, although you could say that Brunson's game, for other reasons, probably left more to be desired than most of his teammates. Mohamed Diawara, 0 for 3. Clarkson, we're going to talk about Jordan Clarkson, don't worry, 1 for 2. Shamet, spirited effort from Shamet, 2 for 6, and man, it felt like the ones that he missed were like, there are some games where it feels like Shamet hits every big three that you need, and then there are other games where, much rarer, where it feels like, man, Shamet had some great looks that should have gone down, because that's his job primarily. Yes, he fights like hell on defense, and we love him for that, but like, he's got to hit the open threes. And then Alvarado, 0 for 1. We're going to talk about Alvarado too. We're talking about a lot of guys. But it was just an incredibly painful watching experience, because this game was like right there for them in so many different ways, and they just could never put together that stretch where they made 4 out of 7 threes over a 5-minute stretch or 6-minute stretch or whatever the case may be. They just, obviously they had the one little stretch in the fourth quarter where I think it was a 12-2 run, and then you look up and you're like, oh my God, is this really an 11-point basketball game with like 6 minutes to go? And you're like, there's no universe where, given how much the Knicks have missed and given how much the Lakers have made crazy shots, this should be an 11-point basketball game. And yet it was. And that wasn't even a crazy offensive stretch. They just like kind of put one foot in front of the other for a while, got out in transition a bit. The offense did definitely get going. But, after what had been before that little stretch in the fourth quarter, what had been an incredibly painful day because of all of the shots that they missed, they make that little push, and it was almost as if they made that little push to just bring on more pain, because the pain from missing all the open shots in the first 30 whatever minutes wasn't enough. They needed to give one more one more shot to us, and some of the I don't want to call it an offensive ineptitude, because that's not fair, but just their inability to execute as they needed to on offense. Even after they closed that gap, it was tough. It was honestly tough to watch, but I'll say it one more time for anybody in the back who may have missed me the first time. I'm not upset about this loss. I'm not mad about this loss. I'm not mad at any player about this loss. I'm not upset with Mike Brown. I don't even know why I would be upset with Mike Brown for this loss. I'm not upset about anything. Where it could turn into an unfortunate defeat, or more unfortunate defeat than it already is, that depends on how they come out tomorrow against the Clippers, because obviously Jalen Brunson, so Mike Brown starting this new thing seemingly where he wants to start the fourth quarter with Jalen. Now, might have been game situation. Like, hey, if I have a chance of getting back in this game, it's going to be with Jalen on the floor. So, and then they like got in it just enough for him to have to keep Jalen on the floor. So you look up at the end of the day, it's a 13-point loss, and Jalen Brunson played 42 minutes. Again, I don't blame Mike Brown for that. I think he was doing what he had to do to try to get the win. But, now Brunson's got to turn around and play tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. OG 38 minutes. Karl-Anthony Towns 34 minutes. Should be fine. Everybody else was under 30. Brunson's probably as good a place to start as anyone, because I think Brunson's going through it a little bit right now. I know I was asked some questions on the last post game. I think, am I worried about Jalen Brunson? It looks a little off, this and that. I wasn't worried about him then. I'm not worried about him now, because we have, 17 games left to go until the playoffs. I think here's where I'm at. Again, 65 games into the season. And it's, I put myself in this group too. Everybody associated with the Knicks, whether you're on the roster or you're a content creator, at some point had a period where they were going through it this year. Cat had a long period where he was going through it. Josh certainly. OG had some periods where he was going through it. McCall, shorter stint. He's been better late today, notwithstanding. Anyway, I think it's his turn. I think Brunson's going through it right now. And I think what you've seen over the course of the year, I think you've really seen the offense evolve and develop, and it's finally starting to look like the offense that Mike Brown envisioned when he came and took this job. And you're seeing there's a lot more fluidity to it. Cat looking a lot better. I thought Cat had a really nice game today. 25 and 16. It's pretty good. I thought he was legitimately really good. Like, I didn't think there was any, like, we've seen Cat have good numbers, and I get up here and I'm like, yeah, I don't really like the game. I thought he was good today. I thought he was really good. Probably the Knicks' best player, of the starters at least. But Brunson, now it's Brunson's turn. And I think the way he's going through it is he clearly senses that for this team to be at its best, the ball needs to move. He's not stupid, and he's not selfish either. But he also knows, because he's not stupid, that the best way for the ball to move, or the best way to grease the wheels on this offense, is still for him to draw attention and for him to try to collapse the defense. And, he is a scorer at heart. And I think he is, like, actively in real time going through some, not uncertainty, but I guess uncertainty is probably the best word that I could find about, all right, like, what is this supposed to look like for me? In terms of, when am I supposed to take a tough shot? When am I supposed to get off the ball sooner rather than later? And I think so we saw him get going a little bit early in the fourth quarter. He made some threes, made a couple tough buckets. And I think for those moments, he wasn't thinking. And he wasn't trying to, am I supposed to pass? Am I supposed to shoot, this and that? And then down the stretch, it reverberated, or it reversed course. And I thought you saw his process, which I did not think was good. I thought the overall offensive process for most of the first half, at least watching in real time, I thought the offensive process in the first half was good. They just weren't hitting shots. I think the process started to get away from them in the third quarter, which, again, I don't really even blame them for, because you see enough shots brick. These guys are prideful guys. They're going to be like, all right, I'll try to do it myself a little bit. And you saw some passes that were not made. Not only Jalen Brunson, other guys too. And so the process got away from them in the third. They made their little push. That was good. And then down the stretch, just Brunson with some decisions. Obviously, he was banking on getting some calls that he didn't get. But, it was a little out of whack. And, I love Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson's still my guy. Always going to be my guy. Always going to be my number one. Nick, believe any chance we got is on his shoulders, the whole thing. But we could call a spade a spade. It is not the Knicks did not get what they needed from their captain today, and they didn't get what they needed from their point guard today. So let's just start there. As for everybody else, I talked about Cat. Thought Cat had a really nice game. My favorite number for Josh Hart today was 22, which is that he only played 22 minutes. Because I did not think Josh Hart was effective. I know he was 4 of 8 from the field or whatever. I did not feel Josh Hart in this basketball game. And I thought, based on how the Lakers were defending, I think Mike Brown correctly decided, hey, for this game at least, my best path is to put as many shooters on the floor as possible at the same time. And again, I think it kind of worked because they got great shots, except they just didn't hit any of them. So zero issue with Josh Hart playing only 22 minutes. OG did everything he could on the defensive end. I thought his individual defense was exceptional. 5 of 11, but 1 of 4 from 3, whatever. OG was fine. Mr. Bridges. So here's what I'm going to do. My guy, Alex, longtime Knicks Film School patron. If there was a Substack council, he would be on it. He gave me a little shit in the newsletter comments after the Denver game, saying I did not appropriately commend Mikal Bridges for what was a very good game, like in a vacuum, but for him, a really good game because he got the tech, he got physical, he was confrontational. And so here's how I'm going to make it up to Mikal, Alex, if you're listening, which I know you are. I'm not going to go in on him for a game that was pretty atrocious. Obviously did not make a field goal. I don't think you necessarily felt him. He got into foul trouble early, so that's part of the reason for his 27 minutes. Mikal Bridges has been really, really, really good for this team basically since the All-Star break. And I am happy to give him a pass today. It was not a good performance. I am not going to sit here and belabor that point. If anybody in the comments wants to go in on Mikal, obviously it's your right to do so. But I'm not going to do it because, again, he's been really good. I didn't give him the praise he was due, so I'm going to try to make up for it now. So that's the Bridges thing. Last but not least, the bench. Mitch had a couple moments, which was nice. Jordan Clarkson. Welcome to the party, Jordan Clarkson. I missed you a little bit. I got to tell you. When he was in there doing his little thing from the short mid-range, he made one of his threes. That was all great. You love to see Jordan Clarkson making shots. His compete level, I thought, on the basketball court, on both sides, defensively especially, was at a really high level. And I just can't say enough about a guy who has been a real guy in this league for a long time. 6th Man of the Year award winner, 20-point per game scorer, legit dude. He is a real dude, never all-star caliber, but there were some years where he was probably the next level down from that conversation. And for him to come in after being, excised from the rotation and give that sort of an effort, I think it says a lot about him. And I think it says a lot about the team and the culture that they have right now. So that is if there's one thing I actually am going to sing their praises about today, I think it's going to be what Jordan Clarkson came in and contributed in the fourth quarter there. So good for him. Diawara off night happens. He's a rookie. Not going to kill him for it. Talked about Shamet. I thought Shamet's effort level was spectacular. Again, could have used a few more makes. I feel bad ending on this note because certainly this, it's not like this loss was because of this guy. But Jose Alvarado, 7 minutes. We've seen his minutes start to go down the last 3 games. It has now been, I believe, 5 games since he has hit a 3-point field goal. I'll double check that right now. Yeah, his last 3 came against Milwaukee. And that was on February 27th. It is March 8th. They've played 5 games since then. He is 0 for 8 now. So it hasn't taken a lot, but he also hasn't made any. I'm just going to say it. I think this team needs a little bit more from Jose Alvarado. And I have been largely willing to look past the fact that his individual numbers haven't been great, because I think his impact on the team as a whole has been really strong. But at some point, you do need to contribute individually. So, disappointing me, especially because this is one of those games where, again, like, nobody getting a field goal. It's like you're relying on the backup energy. And I did think it was kind of telling that in a game where Jalen Brunson was not necessarily having a great game. He definitely wasn't. It felt a little Tibbsian, right? Some of those games last year where it would be, a close game, and like Tibbs would just completely skip over Cam in the second half. What was different then, if we're keeping it a buck and we're being fair, is there were games where Campaign actually had a really nice first half and it was a close game, and it was like, oh, where's Campaign? No, he's not playing in the second half, I guess. Okay. Jose Alvarado has not been good. So they need more from him. Look, stuff left to be desired. They were not good at all on the defensive glass tonight. They really let the Lakers get after it. The Lakers ended up with a dozen offensive rebounds, but I thought so many of them were really timely and really, really momentum shifting, like where the Knicks needed to grab a board. I thought the Lakers got their fair share of offensive rebounds. So that wasn't great. And then again, the some of the process stuff on offense that I'll put mostly on Brunson. It is not a finished product yet. For as great as they've been playing, for as great as they looked against Denver, for as great as they looked against San Antonio, and for as really good as they looked against Oklahoma City, again, another game where they didn't hit shots, but they stayed in it. Last thing I'll say before we go over our best bets for the day, and this is more than the missed shots, the reason why I'm not like super bothered by this. You understand it when you're doing all the things you're supposed to do and just nothing's happening for you. If there was ever a situation where, again, this is just me, I could be a little bit more forgiving of like things starting to go a little sideways in the second half of a game, which honestly, kind of what happened against Cleveland. I thought they came out and like they were pretty good in the first half against Cleveland. That game was a really close game, but just nothing was falling. And then it kind of got away from them. I thought they played better in this game than they did in the Cleveland game for sure. And then if we want to end on a positive note, I'll end on this positive note. They're just the way they just continue to go out there and defend. And actually today was proof of concept for me that really the only way to beat this defense is if you have like multiple individual brilliant offensive talents. Now, a couple of teams in the East have that. Boston, Jason Tatum looked pretty good to start today, and Cleveland. Now, I think there are reasons to be hopeful against both of those teams, but their defense is in good shape. It's going to be in good shape, and it when at this point, best thing you could say about the Knicks, when you come into a game against the Knicks, you're going to have to earn it on the offensive end. And again, crazy shots hit by the Lakers today. Crazy shots. And they only scored 110 points. Unfortunately, cold night for the Knicks. So we move, hopefully, back on their winning ways tomorrow against the Clippers. I hope everybody on the Knicks gets a good night's rest tonight. It's not a classic back-to-back scenario for the Clipper game. All right. Let us check out our best bets for the evening, of course, presented by Fanatics Sportsbook. We went 2 for 1 the last game. We missed going 3 for 3 by, I think it was a half a rebound. Today, not quite as lucky. We went 1 for 3. Mensa, who has been our pace car here, he has been doing awesome for best bets thus far this season, as you could see by his record. He had faith in the Knicks to go take care of business today. They did not repay his faith. He took Knicks to cover 4.5. They did not do so. Andrew took Lakers team total under 112.5 points. That has been a bet that someone here from Knicks Film School has been getting on basically every game. Right now, the easiest money in on your Fanatics Sportsbook is just bet the opponent's team total under. So yeah, that hit again. And then Sean did Luka under, what was this? So the original under was 38.5 points and assists, which did not hit. This actually went off the board after Sean picked it because the LeBron James sitting was announced after this number posted. So the actual number for Luka ended up, I think, before at game time, the actual points assist number ended up being a lot higher. So I'm not sure how we're going to have to handle this, but I'm not in the business of doing Sean any favors. So if it's in the red for him, it's in the red for him. But in any case, little explanation is deserved for Sean's loss today. All right, those are your best bets presented by Fanatics Sportsbook. Remember, you could see our best bets in the Fanatics Sportsbook app before every game. I think that's it. Shall we get to, I don't know how many super chats we have because, again, late start, but I will be here for all of them, obviously. Starting with, what is this? Elite, that's me. Another cold start feels like the last piece of the puzzle. Yeah, it definitely was a cold start, and the cold starts have been a little bit more prevalent than we'd like. It's become a thing. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the answer is because as I'm sitting there watching tonight, like the looks were good out of the gate. The looks were good to me. The looks were good, and yet they just don't go down. You want to tell me it's a mentality thing, and if they switch up the starting five, it's going to get better? I don't know. I don't know, but they need to figure it out because they can't keep spotting teams these points. Although they spotted Denver, an 11-2 lead and ended up winning by 39. But no, you don't want to spot teams these points, so they definitely have to figure it out. Thanks, man, for starting us off. Next up, Bill Peterfriend. The first half is why we all have major doubts about this team. For me, the fact that were they down 5 at halftime? They were down 5 at halftime in a half in which they went 3 of 15 from deep. And they lost the game by 13 in which they shot, again, 24%, 8 of 34. Again, I don't have major doubts. Not the way they're competing defensively, and not the way, again, for me, I liked the process in the first half offensively. It wasn't perfect, but I just thought they got a lot of good looks and they just missed. That's me. Thanks, Bill. Bill with another one. Thank you very much, man. Incredibly generous contribution from you, and we really appreciate it. Leon made one of the 5 worst trades of the century with Bridges. Oh, my goodness. Okay. He is so inconsistent, afraid of contact, and we as fans go out of our way to find positives when we know he wasn't worth the picks. The trade ruined all future flexibility. I actually asked that as a question. Did the trade ruin all future flexibility? Okay. Well, let's go backwards. No. The trade did not ruin all future flexibility for 2 reasons. Number one, for as much as his extension gives him a raise and the extension is going to kick in next season, it's not like you're stuck with some kind of albatross contract. Are there teams out there who might feel that Mikal Bridges is not worth his extension? Yeah, I think there probably are, would be my guess, to say nothing of what other teams would give up to get him. I also think there are teams that would happily take him on. Now, what would they be willing to give up? I don't know. The real thing with the flexibility is the draft picks and the opportunity cost, which, as I've talked about a few times, already 2 years after the trade, you could go into this summer and you could trade essentially 4 first-round draft assets. You could trade your 2026 first. You could trade your I think it's in the 4 most distant years. You could trade 2 out of those 4 most distant years. You could trade 2 swaps and 1 first. So essentially, this summer, 2 firsts, 2 swaps. Now, is that 4 firsts and 3 swaps? No, it isn't. So your opportunity, definitely is an opportunity cost there. Your flexibility has taken a hit. Do I think the Mikal Bridges trade ruined all of their future flexibility? No, I don't. And then but the more prevalent part of your comment, yeah, him being afraid of contact is really annoying. There was a rebound that he should have gotten in the fourth quarter where it just looked like he needed to grab the ball. He didn't. It felt like a pivotal play in the moment. That stuff is really frustrating. When he fades back for a mid-ranger, when it seems like there is an opportunity to go up strong, get through contact, that's really frustrating. I'm not disagreeing with any of that part of it. He's been really helpful for this team. And I've killed him at times this year because, again, like you, Bill, and it's like with I keep pairing them together, which is why it's so funny that they traded for both of these guys in the same offseason. The bad is so loud, and you feel the bad a lot, and the bad makes you very frustrated. But it's not nearly as much bad as you would. I think you're thinking it is with Mikal. He does a lot to help you. He's done a lot to help them win a lot of games. I get it. He was not good today. I kind of disagree with you on the inconsistent part. I think he's been, I'll just say it. He's been more inconsistent than OG Anunoby this year for sure. Now the highs for OG are certainly higher than the highs for Mikal Bridges. I don't think that's in question, but I think Mikal has been a lot more consistent. I actually did a little exercise a week or two ago when I went through all of the 5 starters game logs, and I did a percentage of how many, what percentage of their games. Actually, let me see if I can probably pull this up right now. What percentage of their games they shot at least 50, had at least a 50 effective field goal percentage. Here it is. So Mikal Bridges has topped, this was as of like a week ago, topped an effective field goal percentage of 50 in 77% of his games. At the time I wrote this, which again, about a week ago, Brunson was at 73%. Cat was at 63%. Hart was at 61%. OG was at 57%. Mikal, from a shooting standpoint, just going by that, again, 50 effective field goal percentage, that's kind of the baseline. Like, he's been the most consistent Knick. And by the way, I think since I wrote that, did I write that? Hold on, I could actually, my newsletters are dated. I wrote that on March 3rd. So since then, Bridges had an effective field goal percentage of 64.3 against Toronto. Struggled against OKC, 38.2, fair. And then 56.3 against Denver. And obviously today was very bad, but does a lot of little things. And I get it. You don't trade 5 first-round picks for just little things. You need more. I want more from Mikal Bridges. He is, and last thing I'll say, Bill, he has not been worth the 5 picks. I don't think Leon Rose would say he's worth the 5 picks. I don't think anyone in the Knicks front office would say he was worth the 5 picks. But at this point, that's water under the bridge. It's not about how much he was worth. It's about how much he's helping them win. Today, he did not help them win. And so if you want to give him shit today, give him shit today. But let's keep it a buck. I do not think it was one of the 5 worst trades of the century. Not even close. For as much as did they get the value they wanted? No. But it has a chance to still work out for them, which is, that's something. Thanks, Bill. All right, Micho, what's going on? We're all high on Mo, but I was at the game, and multiple times in the first half, he was lost on offense. Sometimes Gent stood and pointed his actions and sets. He will be good, but he is young and raw. Micho, I don't want to tell you you're preaching to the choir, but like, there is a reason why I'm not pushing back on anybody being high on him. I'm higher on him than anybody. I promise you that. Or at least I'm higher on the how game-changing it might be that they got this kid where they got him. Now, they need to resign him, which second apron issues, different things, might be a little bit more complicated than they'd like it to be. But this is where I push back on he needs to be a double-digit minute a game playoff rotation guy. I think you keep giving him chances. God willing, at some point they will get fully healthy, which means Deuce is back. And then you want to give him a couple, 2-3 minutes in the first half, see how it goes. That's fine. He's a rookie. He's not supposed to be polished yet, so can't go 100% full-time rotation guy quite yet. Good point by you, by the way. Hushzu, what's going on? This Brunson slump is, well, not anything to wave flags about. It's just annoying. Is he playing injured? His efficiency has plummeted to almost 45% now. I don't know what efficiency you're looking at. I mean, let's see. Where is he on cleaning the glass? Because cleaning the glass is good because it compares him against others at his position, and it also factors in free throws. So points per shot attempt, he's at 117.3, which is in the 79th percentile for point guards league-wide. Last season, his points per shot attempt was at 122.1. That was in the 91st percentile. Season before that, 121.1, 86th percentile. First season in New York, 120.7, 80th percentile. So, yeah, it's definitely down. It's definitely down a few points, but 79th percentile, still not bad. He's in a slump. He's definitely in a slump. He's definitely going through it. I think he's going to come out of it. It's definitely annoying. Would I rule out him playing injured? No. And because here's the thing, he'll never tell anyone other than his dad and the training staff. If he was injured, he won't tell anybody. But look, you trust the training staff, you trust him. If he's going through something, you trust that if he's playing through it, it's not going to make it worse, or it's not going to, I trust that part of it. So look, he'll snap out of it and it'll be fine. Thanks, Hush. Another one from Hush. Something that is a trending worry for me is Jose. Yeah, I talked about this. Well, defensively, he is still a pest. His offensive game hasn't really shown up since the 76ers game. It's been really bad. I mean, when you shoot, what is he? I mean, at this point, since the Sixers game, which was the last game before the break, right? Yeah. He coming into tonight since the Sixers game, shooting 36% from the field and 17% from three. And then what did he do tonight? Did he make a shot? I don't even know. He was 0-2. So those numbers both went down. Listen, you can't, and that's a 10, now that's a 10 game sample size. So you figure after tonight, 35% from the field and even 16% from three? It's just not good enough. It's not good enough. Played 7 minutes. So, yeah. Thanks, Hush. Elite, that's me. Another one. Thank you. Annoyed, maybe a little. Knicks are who they are every time they play. They are just as much as this as they were on Friday. They need the playoffs to start, probably worse than anyone else. Look, it's funny. Your screen name is Elite. That's me. I'm going to say maybe this is just me. You're you. I'm me. I've seen a real change. To me, the team that I watched go out there today, it did not remind me anything of the team that lost to Detroit in the first game after the break. I understand Detroit, they lost only by 15. Tonight, they lost by 13. So you're going to say the margin of victory wasn't all that different, or margin of defeat, rather, wasn't all that different. I like what they're doing. I like how they're defending. I love how they're defending. And I do think, Like I believe in the process. I was going to say trust the process. I believe in the process on offense, both in the what they are being asked to do and the way they are executing it. Sometimes the shots don't go down. Are they a little bit more reliant, or are they a little bit too reliant on threes at this point? There's an argument. But at the same time, like man, if they hit freaking 3 more threes throughout the course of this game, and this is like a real basketball game in that stretch, that would have been like they were like that close. Literally 2 or 3 more threes over the course of the game, and like a couple of more defensive rebounds. We know defensive rebounding is not a problem for this team. And if I thought they were going out there and dogging it on the glass tonight, I didn't think they were dogging it. Lakers a little bit more pep in their step. Fair to point out, fair to be frustrated by. Not worried. Not worried. Get what is this? Get HC advantage and go from there. What's head coach advantage? What do you think, Kev? Yeah. This is the continuation. Okay. They need the playoffs to start, probably worse than anyone else. Get home court advantage. That's it. Get home court advantage and go from there. It's sure shaping up like they might be the 3 seed, if not the 4. But yeah. But speaking of which, Detroit scuffling lately. They're down by 25 to the Heat right now, and Cade Cunningham played today, or is playing. Okay. Thanks, Elite. That's me. Dom Cappuccini, what's going on, brother? How you doing? Notice I didn't mention preferred seating in the last Super Chat. We didn't get to the last Super Chat yet, but we'll get to it. Sorry, we're a little out of sorts today because of the late start. It doesn't matter to me anymore. They have to beat the same teams in the second and third round. If they get there, go Knicks. Here's my thing, Dom. At this point, I genuinely don't know my order of who I want to face, presumably in the second round and then theoretically in the conference finals. I think there's arguments why they should want to avoid Detroit in the second round. I think there's arguments for why they should want to avoid Boston in the second round. I mean, I think there's a part of me that's like, well, obviously Cleveland is the team that they should want to face the most out of those 3. And yet, and again, it's going to sound insane because Detroit has beat them by a combined 8,000 points this year. But like, there is a part of me that would rather face Detroit than Cleveland, all things being equal. So it really is a matter of like, if you can have your way and you could have the, 2 other teams beat up on each other as opposed to having to go through the 2 most fearsome of the 3. But again, I don't even know what the 2 most fearsome of the 3 are. And then you could get into a conversation about, well, who would you rather have for a first round matchup? And even that, because like we could sit here and be like, well, probably want to play Toronto, right? Okay. Philly's been looking like shit lately. Is anybody really scared of like Orlando or, I think, look, there's some teams you probably, I will say this. I would, all things being equal, rather not play the Heat in the first round. And I don't think I want to deal with Charlotte because I think that'll be some specific matchup stuff that would not be looking forward to if I was the Knicks, specifically when they are on defense. But yeah. Thanks, Tom. Nick Head, what's going on, man? It's really all or nothing with McCall. I'm not blaming this loss on him specifically, just an observation. Overall, I'm not too concerned about the loss. It's just one of those games. Hashtag let's go Knicks. Yeah. I don't think it's all or nothing. I think here's what's frustrating about McCall. It feels like there are, I don't know. It feels like 30 to 40%. Notice I'm going to say it feels like. I don't know if this is actually true. It feels like 30 to 40% of the games that OG Anunoby plays, you're like, oh, well, that dude's an all-star, clearly. You watch him on both ends, you watch him knocking down shots, and you're like, yep, all-star level player. Now, the reason he's not an all-star player is because you have to look like an all-star player for like 80% of the time if you're going to actually be an all-star or whatever percentage. Not 30, 40% is not enough, but that's, in my mind, OG looks like an all-star probably 30, 40% of the time. Mikal will have, to me, he looks like an all-star like 10% of the time or 15% of the time. Now, I think in fairness, less than 10% of his games, or roughly 10% of his games, are like this, where it's just kind of like a disappearing act. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a little above 10, but whatever, 10 to 15. Same percentage as the games he looks like an all-star. And then the rest, which is whatever, 70-something percent, he's just a really good, solid, check a lot of boxes, do all kinds of things that you need, probably a lot of stuff you're not noticing on first watch, ball player who helps you win. There are those who make the argument that, hey, like just being that sort of a guy, whatever it is, 70% of the time, like the top, the best 10-15% of his games, like that's a gift. To have a guy who's this consistent, this often, and checks all those boxes so regularly, that should be your real all-star. Now, I know a lot of people don't feel that way because you get games like this. And again, a lot of those like mid-tier games, are maybe like what we saw against Denver, where again, this is my job. This is what I do. And I got on here during the monologue, and I think I mentioned his name once in passing. It's not like I was sitting up here gushing about Mikal Bridges, and yet he was like really good. So I don't know. I just, end of the day, this is not to say that I want to do the trade over again or I wouldn't do the trade, but I just wish he hadn't been traded for all those picks because it sets up this impossible standard. And unless they win a championship, which I hope they do, he's never going to live up to it. And when he has bad games like he did today, obviously, he's going to become the guy that people are like, well, this is why. And again, to be clear, you're actually not saying that. You're saying the opposite of that. You're not blaming the loss on him, but others will blame it on him. Thanks, Nickhead. Okay, Dom, I think this is your first chat, Dom. If I am concerned about everything, it's the offense. I am very happy that defense is part of their identity, but it's the second year in a row where the offense gets cracked by the league in a new year. They aren't currently a top 3 offense. Did they fall out of the top 3 overall on the season? I'll look it up right now. No, they're still third. I mean, since the new year, I would guess they're what? 12th? 11th? 12th? I'll look it up right now. Since January 1st, they are 13th. So I was close. They're at 114 points per 100 possessions in a group with Golden State, Philly, and OKC's at 114.8. Look, that's not great. 114 points per 100 possessions is not great. I guess the reason why I'm not quite as concerned is they have put up some, let me take a step back. The Lakers are not a good defense. They weren't dog shit. The Knicks weren't dog shit on offense today because the Lakers played some kind of crazy defense. The Knicks were dog shit on offense today because they couldn't hit shots. And then their process got a little mucked up in the second half. But like any team that goes out there and puts up 142 points in Denver, puts up 114 on San Antonio, they are a top 3 defense. They put up 127 in Milwaukee like it was fucking nothing. Like they put up the 138 and like they're going out, they could score. Like clearly they could go out there and score. It's just it hasn't been consistent enough, and I think it's a little bit of shooting variance, but also maybe a little bit too dependent on the threes. Dom, here's what I'm going to say. I'll agree with you. At this point, crazy as it sounds, the offense is more concerning to me than the defense. I'm not at a place yet where I am like super concerned about their ability to score enough to be successful in the playoffs. Not yet. Would I like them to clean up some things? Yes. But not super concerned yet. Thanks, though. Micho, take the open shot. Yeah, I think they got a little gun shy as the shots kept missing. They definitely passed up open looks. Because, hey, listen, what have I been sitting here saying? They've become a little bit too dependent on the three. So I wonder if they think some of that too, where it's like, hey, we're more than just a 3-point shooting team. We can make offense happen in other ways. And the reality is that they're off that like what they have been like drilled into doing is like drive and spray. That's their offense. It's drive and spray. And then it's like tonight, it's almost like they tried to revert back to more of what they used to be and didn't go so well. So again, it's an area of concern. It's an area of concern. Like, what do you do when the threes aren't falling? Unless you're just going to be like, we don't think we're going to have 4 games out of 7 where the threes aren't falling, and we think our defense is always going to be enough to keep us in it. I don't know. End of the day, they have enough tough shot makers that I still have faith in their ability to figure it out. But looks messy sometimes. Thanks, Micho. Riyad Raheem, what's going on? Return of the 5-pick brick. It's a good line. That's a good line. Yeah, not a great one for Mikal. Deadwards, what's going on, brother? I think we need to accept that the highs for this team will be very high, see their play of late, but the lows can get pretty damn low. Brown raised the ceiling, but the floor was also lowered. I think the reason I'm at the point where I think the reason that the bad has been so bad at times, I am happy and willing at this point to chalk it up to the process to get to the point that we have seen them at recently, and that there were maybe some ways that they did not take to Coach Brown, and that maybe it's a little bit of how he went about instilling things. Maybe it was like a culture shock to go from Tibbs to this, where it used to be every game mattered like life or death, and now it hasn't been that. Maybe that's been a tough adjustment. Like, there's a lot of things you could point to. Here's where I'm at, Edwards. If their defense is this, and I still think the defense is really damn good, again, it's best defense. I guarantee you, I could look up the last 20, what is it now, 22 games? Best defense in the league. Hold on. So 20. It's a lot of games. It's like we're getting close to like a third of the season. We're going to be able to look at it and say, oh, best defense in the league for that stretch. Yeah, 23 games now. So what is 27 games, a third of the season? So they're 4 games away. If they play 4 more games, good defense, we'll be able to be like, this team has had the best defense in the league for a third of the season. Think about that. That, to me, is a floor that I actually don't even think existed last year, because their defense was not this good last year. In terms of, and then again for today, I don't know, man. I guess maybe I'm in the minority today, where I'm just giving a little bit too much of a pass for just missing shots. I could not get over how many good looks they had today. They had so many good looks. It just didn't go down, But thanks, Edwards. Jason M, what's going on, man? Statement loss, dreadful on both sides of the ball. Really interesting. So Jason's usually the one who's talking me off the ledge. He wasn't happy today. Okay. Well, listen. Again, sometimes I'm in the minority, but I guess today I'm in. That's me. Oh, you want to do stat of the night? Yeah, we can do stat of the night. Courtesy of our guy, Jonah Kaufman. 19 is the stat of the night. This was the 5th time this season the Knicks have had 19 or more turnovers. Again, didn't mention the turnovers. I should have. I think that falls under the process conversation. And also just like hunting for fouls that weren't there. Between that many missed threes and that many turnovers, not good. Both Brunson and Shamet tied their career highs, ending up with 7 and 3 respectively. Brunson did record 7 assists, which gives him an even assist to turnover ratio. Only the 6th time this season it's been 1 or lower. Usually it's a lot higher than that. Brunson's 2nd most minutes of the season, not ideal. The only time he's played more was the double OT game against Denver. And then 4th highest ratio of turnovers to minutes this season. So really not a banner game for Jalen Brunson. I did not even register to me that Landry Shamet had wait, hold on. Oh, 7 and 3. I'm sorry. I think I misread that. So Shamet, 3 turnovers. That's a lot of turnovers for him. But yeah, Brunson, 7 turnovers, too many. 19 turnovers for them as a team, too many. Way too many. Thanks, Jonah. Hudzu with another one. Josh got benched. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think Brown was looking for shooting. They were down by a lot. Now, here's the tough part. So Josh got benched, and what have we been saying all year? Or what have I been saying all year? Let's recognize the good things that Josh Hart does, because he does a lot of good things. I think it's fair to look at some of the, the quote unquote winning plays that they did not make in the 4th quarter of this game, and then point out the fact that, well, how much of that is because Josh Hart was not on the floor? So Josh Hart played as many minutes in the 4th quarter as me and you. Towns, Brunson, OG, McCall played the entire 4th, and then the rest of it was split between Shamet and Clarkson. Hart's, how much did he play in the 3rd? Played 9:20, so I'm assuming he played the first 9:20 of the 3rd. Yeah, I mean, look, we know Mike Brown sees all the things that we're seeing, and then some. So when the offense is struggling a little bit and they need a spark, he's looking for a spark, and he doesn't necessarily think Josh Hart's going to give him that spark. But what do you lose when you take Josh Hart off the floor? How much of those intangibles do you lose, and how much do you need him to be out there to give you the intangibles? That's the question. Yeah. Thanks, Hush. Joseph Sokola, what's going on, Joseph? How you doing? Was at the game. Big letdown. They couldn't get into a rhythm, yet clearly didn't quit with Cat playing the entire second half. Wow, shit, he did play the entire second half. Just a step slow and got out-hustled by a team they should beat. Do we just say these games happen? I mean, I said these games happen. Apparently, others are not as willing to say this is just, a game that happens. Listen, you never want to get out-hustled. I don't ever like getting out-hustled. It should be, we got kind of spoiled because we were for years the team that never got out-hustled. And even that's a misnomer. They were always, listen, you're never going to go 82 games plus playoffs and always be the team with more hustle. There's always games. And I got to tell you, given how much the Knicks have been out-hustling teams for a little while now, since the Detroit game, basically, other than Cleveland, but I don't think Cleveland was just bad offensive showing all around. Given how much they've been winning that part of the battle, for them to have a game where they just weren't good enough on the defensive glass, I'll give it, again, it's one game, like you say. I'll give it a pass today. Don't like it, but that's me. Thanks, Joseph. Hush with another one. Brunson last 20 games. 22-7, 43% overall, 36% from 3, 82% from the line. I think he came back from that sprain a bit too early, maybe. Didn't think his last 20 was this poor. So, hang on one sec here. Does this get... All right. So 36% from three. That's 36% from three over 20 games. I'm not really gonna go crazy about that. That's fine. Everybody, like even the best 3-point shooters, are gonna have stretches where they are worse than that from deep. The 2-point stuff is a little concerning. So since he missed back-to-back games and came back against Dallas on MLK Day, he from 2-point range. If you give me a sec, I'm pulling it up right now. What he has shot. I'm getting it. But it's not good enough. Obviously, it's just I'm trying to figure out how concerned we should be, because like at the end of the day, his bread and butter, Jalen Brunson, I'm talking about, is he makes tough 2-point field goals. Like the threes obviously are important. They've changed this game. They've changed his ceiling as an offensive player. But the 2-point field goals are where it's at. So 22 games, 47.6% from two. So before that, hold on, we'll get there. Before that this season, before that injury, before he missed those 2 games from two, let's see where he was. I mean, he's for the year, he's at 51.6%. So I got to think it's quite a drop off here. But I'll get that number in a sec. I hope he's just a little banged up, and maybe they'll have an opportunity to rest him a little bit before the end of the season. If that's what it is, that's great. He needs to make tough twos. That's part of his game. It's part of the deal. He has to make tough twos. That's all there is to it. Okay. When I get this, I'll let you know. But yeah, 47% from 47.6% from two, last 22. That's not what you want. Thanks, Hush. Dom Cappuccini with another one. You'll laugh at this irony. I happen to wear my Why Not Now t-shirt today. Yeah, why not today? It was all good last Sunday. Let's go, Knicks. I wore a shirt that my wife gave me for Christmas for the first time today. I'll stand up for anybody who wants to see it on YouTube. Got a little my Kith Patrick Ewing shirt. I think there's a 33 on the back. Very comfortable. I like the way it looks on me. It's a little baggier shirt than I would normally wear, but I think this is what the kids are wearing these days. So you gotta do it. You gotta be with the times. Yeah, that's what I wore. Okay, here we go. Finally got it. His 2-point field goal percentage for the first 37 games of the year, 53.6%, which, hold on. Last year from two, 53.9%. So basically the first 37 games of this year, he was shooting from 2-point range exactly what he was shot from 2-point range last year, which is very good. 54% from two is really good, given the shots that he takes. But we got to get back up there. Okay, next up. Use Spree, what's going on? This game does not matter, but this team makes me drink. I wish they would let us know beforehand when they're not planning to show up. Come on. Word choice there. Listen, I can't say anything to anybody about word choice after my little diatribe a couple weeks ago, but no, they showed up today. Their defense, they showed up. The defense showed up in a big way. Their offense didn't show up, but the defense showed up. I was very proud of myself. Really making overt efforts to cut back on my drinking. So I got to Penn 6 today at 2. I think I got there, walked in at like 2:55. Left at 6:15. So I was in a bar for 3 hours and 20 minutes. I had one beverage. I had one old fashioned, which was good. I nursed it for a while and I was fine. I was okay. It was enough. So it was probably the first time I've ever done that at a bar. Had one drink. Thanks, you Spree. Kane Marco, what's going on, brother? Thank you for the contribution. It's a make or miss league, and they missed everything today. That's where I'm at. I mean, again, it's just like the to watch them miss these wide open shots, and then to see Luka Doncic falling into fucking Andy Garcia's lap or whoever was in the front row at the game. It just like that was, to me, that was this game in a nutshell was that, not the fact that like the team is. To me, this wasn't a Jekyll and Hyde game. This was a couldn't hit the broadside of a Bard game. Thanks, man. Appreciate the contribution there. Robert Cross, what's going on, Robert? I know you're disappointed today. First time, long time. It's your boy John. I know how to improve the offense. Put Josh Hart on the second unit, start Deuce or Shamet, spread the floor, and punish teams. Well, here's what I'll tell you, Robert. I'm going to give you some. I'll give you a little bit of love here. I'll give you a little bit of love because I'm sure there would be a prevailing wisdom that your suggestion is a terrible idea because if you're going to bring Josh Hart off the bench, you're going to be pairing him more minutes with Mitchell Robinson, and Mitchell Robinson is a non-shooter, obviously, and thus you don't want to pair a guy who is an inconsistent outside shooter with your non-shooting center. And yet, look at me filibustering for just long enough. When Mitchell Robinson and Josh Hart have been on the floor this season, Knicks are scoring 123 points, 123.1 points per 100 possessions. That's exceptional. That's a really, really good number. 783 possessions, so it's pretty decent sample size. And out of those 783 possessions, 603 of those possessions have been with Jalen Brunson on the floor, which I'm almost certain any minutes that Hart would share the floor with Mitch, Jalen Brunson would be on the floor. And in those minutes, 130.5 points per 100 possessions. That is a 100th percentile number in 603 possessions. So the numbers actually say that this team would probably improve if you had a bench unit with Mitch and Hart with Jalen Brunson. I think there are other considerations, Robert. I've talked about those considerations for almost 2 years now. I don't need to bore you to death or any of our listeners to death with those again. But there's more that Hart does than just occasionally cramp the spacing. And when he's off the court, you notice he's off the court. And again, to the point of what what we're talking about here, you don't get some of the offensive numbers when Hart is on the court without him. He's a really good offensive player. But at this point, there is just something about when these at the starts of games, they just don't have it at the starts of games. And we're getting close to the point where it is inexplicable, which will lead you to be like, all right, well, we got to try something, I don't know. Thanks, Robert. Another one from Robert, first time, long time. It's your boy John. To be clear, the idea of having Brunson and Cat and mucking up spacing is bonkers. Why? Well, but that's the thing is like, I know you're a proud patron of Knicks Film School. I would implore you to watch GJ Zulo's recent video on Josh Hart, and specifically against the San Antonio Spurs, who are one of the 3 best defenses in the NBA. There are ways to utilize how teams defend Josh Hart against those teams and get good shots out of it. I thought they got good shots today out of the gate with Josh Hart on the floor. They didn't hit him. Sometimes it is about hitting your shots. They didn't hit their shots today. So I can't co-sign that his presence is mucking up their spacing. I think there's something about their offense out of the gate which is just not good. Now, wasn't good in the third quarter today either, in fairness. But again, the same thing, missed shots. Thanks, Robert. Is that it? We're good? All right. Well, all right. A little bit more than an hour. Listen, appreciate everybody's patience. This is a one of one or a one-off, I should say, in terms of starting the post game later. We don't have any other watch parties scheduled the rest of the regular season. So, oh, wait, hold on. We got one more from Robert. First time, long time. I saw that content and I like Benji more than DJ anyway. He's very funny. I should say Benji, talk to Benji today. He's doing okay. I know people are concerned. Okay. What can you do to help support your boys and girls at Knicks Film School? You can like this video for starters. Certainly subscribe to the YouTube channel that you are currently watching if you are watching it. If you're not watching, if you're watching on Twitter, go subscribe to the Knicks Film School on YouTube. You could also follow us wherever you get your pods. And even though I'm quite certain that folks are probably not going to be in a 5-star mood listening to this today, if you on a day when you're feeling a little bit more pleasant want to give us a 5-star rating, that would be great too, as well as a review. All the bonus content, you know where it is: Substack, Patreon, the whole thing. And of course, follow us on social media at Nick Film School. That is SKOOL. What do we got coming up? We got game tomorrow. I'll be on the post game, hopefully after a win. And me and Jeremy coming up on Tuesday. And actually, speaking of Benji, we're going to have, I think, the return of Benji Ritholtz on Thursday night for X's and O's with DJ. So mark your calendars for that because we haven't heard from Benji in a while, and that'll be exciting. Okay, that's it. Thank you, Kevin, for coming out tonight and or for the game today and making it back to produce this. And last one, Matt Tomo with this super chat. Shout out to my girlfriend, Allison, who's watching. Matt, you got yourself a keeper there. You got yourself a keeper. If she watches this post game, actually, no, you don't have yourself a keeper. You should get a new girlfriend because if she's watching this post game, you should severely question her judgment. And that, no, I'm kidding. Shout out to both of you. And I hope the next post game she watches is after a win. Okay. Is that it? That's it. We're good. All right. Let's get out of here before anyone else sneaks a super chat. See y'all later. Peace out.
Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Not available in all states. Terms apply. See the Fanatics Sportsbook app.